Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, talking fishing. If it's facts about fishing that you want to know, then tune in, folks, cause this is the show. We'll show you all the right bait to use, so sit right back, you got nothing to lose. Doesn't really matter if it's trout or carp, flathead, marlin or a gummy shark. Listen to the guys and you can't go wrong. They'll be talking about fishing till the cows come home. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Welcome everyone to Talking Fishing, a big show coming your way tonight. I tell you what, tonight is all about Yellowtail Kingfish. You're going to learn some stuff in preparation of the show. I learned a lot, and someone here very special, we're going to introduce him in a minute, is going to tell you all about Yellowtail Kingfish. But ads, let's kick it off. No one's catching them because there's that many tuna around.
I know, they're being a pest, the tuna. Someone didn't tell them it was kingfish season.
No, but in the rip.
In the rip, well, yeah, that's right, inside the heads. We've had a bit of a crazy blow and a full moon over the weekend, which people kind of thought maybe that'd be the end. Nah. This morning the charter boats are back out there again and smashing them. So keep the excitement levels up.
Absolutely. Stephen Victor Trelfel, all the way from Shepparton.
Yes.
How you going, young man?
Oh, very good. David John Malcolm. But no kingfish up our way, but
none.
Nah, the run's gone
no good up
flat,
there?
no tide, but everything else is going pretty good.
Yeah,
tide.
Yeah.
Tuna and the goulburn, you know.
Tuna, yeah, we call them the carp.
They're doing those environmental flows where it's really deep again.
It's on a bit of a flat at the moment, so it's pretty good at the moment up there. The fishing is actually really good. Yeah, really good. You just got to get out and spend time in the water.
Yeah. If we get time, we'll talk about the Gambia. Big comp coming up there too. I don't know.
Absolutely.
If we get time, but if we can, we will over coming weeks. We'll talk a bit about the Gambia as it comes
Excellent
in.
comp.
And a special guest in the studio tonight, no stranger to talking fishing, Dr. Corey Green from the Victorian Fisheries Authority. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you, Dave. Boys.
Now, previously you have been known as the world expert in calamari and all things squid.
Forever talking it up. Yep.
Yeah, no, we know we know that you know your stuff. Right, yeah. I can get that out. But you have produced this report here. I don't know if we can over one of these, and it's all about increasing our knowledge of Victoria's growing recreational yellowtail kingfish fishery. So you've been studying these things for how long?
Oh, a few years now.
Yeah.
It's taken me a little while to wrap up the project, but it's good to get it done.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
And you were just showing me something. I don't want to embarrass you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to jump to catch of the week pretty soon. But you had a photo in your bag tonight that you showed us of how big was that kingfish you caught at Queenscliff?
21 kilos.
Oh. 21 kilos. What date?
The real one.
I was 86. I was 13.
Yeah, there you go. How good's that?
What you're supposed to say was it was last week.
Yeah, that is a monster kingfish.
Yeah, it was great.
Was that like one of the biggest of the time?
Not so much. Yeah, they were still pretty big back then, and bigger fish around then too. Yeah.
So much to talk about kingfish, but folks, let's have a look at what's been caught by the people at home. It's time for Catch of the Week.
Catch of the Week, brought to you by Shimano.
All right, let's kick it off with Western Port, and there's been some lovely catches of King George whiting in preparation, boys, for the Western Port Whiting Challenge, which is not too far away.
That time of year again.
Big comp.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. But Tankerton has been the place this week. John and Pete, have a look at John and Pete out on Think Big Charters with Sean Ferdier there.
Nice.
And
good string of whiting.
Yeah, some lovely fish amongst that.
Yeah, it's went to the middle, look quite good.
Yeah. A bit further down the port, and there's been some big fish around Flinders. If someone's going to get that 50 centimetre fish and just have to see Paul Worsling open up his wallet and take $1,000 cash out for the first... 1 kilo, isn't it?
Kilo.
1 kilo.
In the whiting challenge,
so
not just any time.
Yeah, during the whiting challenge, which is coming up in a few weeks' time. Head down to Flinders. Have a look at this. Don Wood got a lovely handful of King George whiting. And that one at the front.
Yeah, he's a ripper.
Pretty damn big, I reckon.
It's been a good whiting season.
Probably not a kilo.
You don't reckon?
Still a cracker.
Kilo's hard to get.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, it's hard
There's
to
a
get.
few around.
There's been a few in Western Port this year.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
But different sort of year. Let's mix it up. Let's head up to the Goulburn River, Trelly, which must be running quite clear, or at least in the last week, because Jordan Sutton got up there. And have a look at this, an 11.5 pound
Wow.
rainbow trout. That's a stonker.
That's a ripper, isn't it? Yeah.
One of the stock fish, but they're still thriving up there, and,
they're doing well.
probably in better condition than when they were released. So.
Yeah, we've had a bit of rain up that way, but it's still running quite clear. It's very good. So
and that fish was almost as good as Jordo's suntan mark on his head from wearing a hat over the weekend. So
really?
good on you, Jordo.
You want to talk about rain, Trelly? We've got some footage tonight of a river in the New South Wales south coast that I've never seen had water in it.
Okay.
We've got some footage of it filling up. In I think about 2.5 minutes. It went from dry to raging torrents.
And they said it'd never rain again.
That's right. Put the bushfires out though, which is good. Let's head to the centre of Melbourne. Freshwater fishing capital of Yellowbelly is Albert Park Lake. Have a look at this, Todd Burgess. Cracking fish.
Yeah.
Good fish.
Corey, a few of your mates at Fisheries get into these, don't they? Anthony Forster.
Yeah, they do like their fish like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's some ripper fish in there.
As good as any up your way, Charlie.
Yeah, there is. There's some crackers in there. It's a good spot for them.
Let's head down to Lake Purrumbete, another beautiful part of the world for freshwater fishing, and some beautiful brown trout in there. 2.5 kilo for Christine Bazinski. Have a look at that. Cracking fish, Christine.
Yeah.
Good colour too.
Great looking fish, yeah.
Lots of redfin coming out of there as well.
Yes, there is a lot of redfin
photos.
coming out there. Yes, there's been some ripper redfin, so it's fishing really well at the moment, Purrumbete.
You've been to Purrumbete, man, haven't you?
Yeah, many times.
In your past.
Yep. I like it there.
Yeah.
I see Johnny down there in the little shop down there in the Caravan
after
Park.
the tornado went through.
That's right. He's repaired. He does a great job down that way.
Yeah. Now, a hot spot from last week was Lake Tyers, and it just so happened to be the Victorian Fisheries Authority's Staff and Friends Fishing Comp.
Yes, they
was
held that down
on the
there.
weekend.
Absolutely.
And a cracking weekend it was. And one of the boys that went down there was Jerry Morseman. Have a look at that, a 62 centimetre dusky flathead.
It's a good flatty.
It's a nice flathead. Aren't they good looking fish?
Yeah, they are.
Isn't Jerry a good looking man?
No.
How's the wind getting behind the luscious beard?
Good fish. We'll talk about Lake Tyers in a second. One of our viewers just sent in a photo from last Friday. Kim, an 87 centimetre dusky flathead from Lake Tyers.
Lake Tyers has got to be
I think
class.
it's the capital
Yeah.
of dusky flathead.
The big ones, yeah.
Before we show the next one, let's just chat about Lake Tyers. So the level is low, there's no doubt about it, and it's a little bit different and hard to fish. So what we found was some of those places that you and I fished, I think 4 years ago when we went down there. There's a beautiful island, nice sandbank. That sandbank's right out of the water. And then around the edges of the lake, a lot of the perimeter of the lake is like maybe 2 to 3 metres of sand, and then weed. All the weeds grown in the shallow water. So it's more difficult to fish.
Yep.
There's still some nice sand flats, and they contain some very, very good fish.
So you're not fishing the weed beds because they're up the bank.
Correct. Yeah. So really, really different. A lot of weed. Yeah, a lot of weed in the system. So you virtually get to land a soft plastic. You know, move 2 or 3 metres and then you're in the weed and pulling weed off your jig all the time. So, but one person who took out the biggest flathead for the comp was Craig Ingram with, have a look at this, a 92 centimetre.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's a
cracking
that's
fish.
A
Now that is up the front of the lake, not where bloody Steve Vidler hides and usually catches the big one. Vidler got pipped, and Steve Vidler from Snobs Creek.
That's a serious one.
Yeah.
Got in the morning, half the people weren't even out of bed, and Craig's texting that photo around going, have a look.
He'd be loving it.
I think I've won in the first half hour.
Apparently you weren't out of bed then either, Dave.
I was, so 5:15.
Really?
He was
I got
two
that
beers in by 9:30, Charlie. 2 beers in by 9:30.
7:30.
Big day.
Jerry started at 7:30.
No fishing.
Oh
yeah, Jerry.
Anyway, there you go. Some beautiful flathead down at Lake Tyers, I can tell you. And there was lots of 49 fish, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was pretty good. If you'd
good
like to
fish.
send in a pic of your catch of the week, this is what you have to do.
If you want to be like me and have your photo on TV, email your fishing pic to info@ifish.com.au. Go Pies!
Yeah, I wanna go fishing.
And Chloe Malloy there from the Collingwood AFLW club.
Yeah, big win in round one. Good on you, Chloe.
First time they've won in round one.
Yep.
And she kicked a cracking goal as well.
I smell a flag, Dave.
Oh, Jesus. bit early.
Early call.
No, never too early. Never too early.
No, that's
Chloe
right.
agrees with me.
I'll tell you what, the Saints have got a new team, the AFLW. They've got probably more chance than the
Yeah,
Miners
they're still terrible.
And they only kicked 1 point, I think, for the game. Coming up next, fisheries news, and we get into some serious discussion on kingfish with Dr. Corey Green. Next on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing.
We know what you'd rather be doing.
We know what you've really got in mind.
We know you'd rather be out fishing. And today's the day you're gonna wet a line. 'Cause every day's a good day.
Stop wishing.
Every day's a chance to drift away. Drift away.
Every day's a good day for fishing. See it down and tackle world today.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing.
Live from the studios of Channel 31 Melbourne, it's now time for some very fishy news.
Welcome back to Talking Fishing. Dr. Corey Green in the studio with us tonight talking yellowtail kingfish. We'll get into that in a moment, but let's kick off with a bit of news, boys. The first one is the Western Port Angling Club holding the 31st annual whiting challenge. Major prize valued at over $10,000 is an aluminium boat, a motor and a trailer. There it is, all on your screen, all the details. Saturday 29th of Feb, Sunday the 1st of March. First King George whiting weighing 1 kilogram or more wins $1,000 cash from Paul Worsing. Last time I saw him open the wallet, there was moths flying out everywhere, so someone needs to get that off him. I tell you what, it's well overdue. 35 other prizes. There's junior categories, senior male and senior female, lots of random draws. It's a really, really good event. I'll be presenting the prizes on the stage on the Sunday at 4:15 p.m. Now, if you want to enter, you can go to wpac.com.au, which is Western Port Angling Club, or you can come along to the big whiting talk night that is on tomorrow night at Frankston RSL. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, the talk starts, kicking off with Dr. Corey Green, who is not only an expert in calamari, kingfish, but also whiting. And you're presenting all the facts about whiting, Corey.
Oh, I am indeed.
And then followed by the panel. Now, how unlucky are we that
We've had a sub.
Paul Worsling's cancelled his fishing trip and he is coming on the panel tomorrow night. If you want to see Paul Worsling talking whiting tomorrow night, Frankston RSL, along with Steve Johnson from Ace Fishing Charters, a great supporter, and Joe Farr from Joe Farr Fishing Charters. That makes up the panel. I'll MC. You're giving a talk on product tomorrow night. And we should apologise to Steve Johnson because those guys, what were their names? Rob and Ted or whatever, in Catch of the Week, the first one.
Yeah,
they weren't on Sean Fertier's boat. They were on Steve Johnson from Ace Fishing Charters boat. So I got it wrong. All your charter boat operators, they all look the same, I tell you. But anyway.
Thanks for the text.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder. Whack. But Steve Johnson will be at Frankston RSL. And he is, like Steve, has got over 83 years of experience on Western Port, hasn't he?
Really?
Yeah. He's a wealth of knowledge.
He goes out 9 days a week.
The other thing is,
his last talk
the other person,
this show.
The other person we're hanging on is old Don.
Old Donnie.
Who's 98.3.
And still organising the biggest whiting comp in the world.
And Donnie will be sitting at the door handing out entries and taking entries to the whiting challenge. So if you want to meet old Don tomorrow night, Frankston RSL, 7 o'clock. Just get your ticket at the door.
Don't they call him Young Don when they get to a certain age? Just swap it around.
Yep.
Don, I'll be looking after you.
All right, now, next bit of news is something we talked about. In fact, we announced it exclusively here on Talking Fishing before it became the front page.
Didn't it get some traction?
Well, it became the front page of the Herald Sun the next day. And it's the golden tags to lure fishers back to the bushfire affected areas. That's the headline. The Andrews Labor government is encouraging recreational fishers back to bushfire affected areas by giving them the chance at landing a tagged fish worth up to $10,000. Recreational fishing in Gippsland and the northeast is worth more than $600 million annually, supports over 3,800 jobs. And is, although I'd only call you a part-time at Trelly, so
yeah, I am,
3,800 a bit, and is a major contributor to the regional communities that depend on tourism. The Victorian Fisheries Authority will manage the competition, which will run for 12 months and they have already begun tagging up to 1,000 fish in the rivers and lakes of East Gippsland and northeast Victoria. The first 10 tagged fish to be reported caught by fishers after the competition begins will earn the lucky fisher a $10,000 cheque, with tagged fish beyond the first 10 to be awarded a $2,000 cash prize. Tagged species include black brim, dusky flathead, King George whiting in East Gippsland, and in the northeast, Murray cod, brown trout and rainbow trout. The competition will bring people back to the towns like Mallacoota, Can River, Bem River, Orbost, Marlow, Lakes Entrance, Lake Tyers, Omeo, Dartmouth, Midamita, Corryong, Tallangatta and Bright. Great idea.
Great concept.
Very good.
Good initiative.
Great
yeah.
I tell you how widespread it is. Jerry said to me, why don't we go into the surf shop and buy something to help the town? We were in Lakes Entrance having breakfast Sunday morning, and I went in, I bought a pair of shorts, and Jerry bought a pair of shoes, and the girl said, oh yeah, from out of town? We said, yeah, we're up here fishing. She goes, are you coming back for the $10,000 fish? 18-year-old girl working in a... Everybody in the town is talking about this.
It's good. Yeah. It's a great thing.
It's
great
amazing.
Thing.
Yeah.
So we're still waiting the details of when it starts.
Yeah, so it hasn't started yet. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. It will be only a couple of weeks away, but you will hear it first on Talking Fishing when it starts. But it hasn't started yet.
We went out the other day and I tagged a couple of ducks in anticipation for the duck season. But I'll give you $1,000 if you shoot one of them if there's a duck season.
Aren't they talking about cancelling duck season?
Oh yeah, but the promotion, they still need visitations to these areas, so that's a great duck hunting area too.
Yeah.
So,
ducks need water, and I tell you what, where there's some water is the New South Wales south coast. It's got a little bit in Victoria, but a lot of it in the New South Wales south coast. We're going to have a look at a video here. This is the Bega River, which anyone that goes to Bermagui would have seen it. But have a look at this. Now we've only put a short clip up, but this all occurs within 2.5 minutes. Normally when you're driving to Narooma, Bermagui, you drive over that river and it's always dry, the Bega River. Wow. Just amazing, this downpour that came through. There's always one kid. Always one kid. He's going home, wet shoes tonight, you know.
It's getting a good flush, isn't it?
Yeah. I think this was yesterday.
It's running.
Oh yeah.
It's hammering.
Yeah.
next week will be the flood affected area.
Yeah.
Like a drought, dry.
Well, the thing is, when you've had a bushfire, there's nothing to hold the ground from eroding. So
that's right.
But that's the Bega River. Many other rivers. I know Maruya, they had a king tide and the floods, and it really got into the town a little bit and stuff like that. So, but anyway, I think overall it's pretty good. They actually opened up the Bega River this morning with an excavator at Tathra, and so that's open to the ocean now. So
nice.
Hopefully gets rid of a bit of the rubbish from the bushfires. It certainly put the bushfires out. So there you go, Fisheries News. Let's talk kingfish, Corey.
Let's do that.
All right, we've got a bit to get through.
Yep, pen and paper out.
Yep. Let's run through it. We've got a bit of an order here so we can follow that. So give us a rundown, and we'll put a slide up first up about kingfish and the history of other areas.
Yeah, so in order to work out the science that we need for kingfish, it's important to have a look at what's happened in the past. So with that, we looked at where was the fishery, and we saw the main fishery was in New South Wales. And when you're talking commercial catch, you're looking at 600 tonnes during around the 1980s, and then it slowly started dwindling down there. And 40% of the catch was less than 60 centimetres of total length. So they're catching a lot of small fish, and consequently, there's more and more fewer fish. There's fewer fish being caught.
Yep.
They introduced the size limit, and then eventually in 1992 they banned the trap fishery there.
Okay.
So that ceased.
Now that's a trap, a photo on everyone's screen there right now. So what, the kingfish, like a crab net, virtually swim into that, and they're trapped in there.
Trapped in there, yeah.
And were they just suspended under boats or something? Or what were they?
Under boats or under large buoys and things like that, tethered. So they'd congregate in there in a very, very selective way of fishing, but very good way of fishing.
I was going to say, successful. Look at the trap.
That's right.
Yeah. Next slide. Let's have a look at that. Because Victoria was a little bit different.
Yeah, so in New South Wales, all this catch at 1992 sort of dropped off, and we sort of saw that similar sort of idea in Victoria as well. There was, as we know, in the last few years, it's been a highly dominated species by recreational fishers, And when we saw that decline in 1992, there was just the finish. I caught my large fish at 86.
86, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, there was a bit of a lull, and then 2010 they really switched on. So we're getting lots and lots of small fish. So we didn't know a lot about them back then.
And
how
a
to
real
manage them.
resurgence in the fishery. Like there's a photo which I would have to say is on probably a quiet day in the rip. When the kingfish are on, because there's nothing to see 200 boats in the rip.
Exactly. I've been out there with 200 boats. Everyone's jigging. Everyone's getting in the way of ships and things like that.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing. It's right in the middle of the shipping channel. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But 2010, but a strange year this year, isn't it?
It's been a bit odd this year. There's a couple of things there. The weather's changed a little bit. There's been a bit of a late sort of summer coming on. The water temperatures haven't really risen up a lot, and
a little bit cold.
A little bit cold, dirty water as well.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the tuna have been a bit of a pest. Nobody wants to catch a kingfish because they're too busy catching tuna.
Yeah.
So, Corey, where are these fish coming from? Are they Victorian-only fish? Are they coming from South Australia? Obviously, we know the New South Wales fishery has been very good in the past. Where are we seeing our stock of Victorian kingfish?
Well, that was one of the critical questions we wanted to answer, because every state has got their own rules and regulations, and we wanted to know whether we need to manage our stocks separately to what's happening in New South Wales or Tasmania. So first thing off is we did a genetic study. So we relied on frames that were donated by fishermen all around
some of this stuff.
All around Victoria. We had people collecting samples at different ports, and we took a little fin clip, and so we were able to take the genetic samples from there. And we also got samples from Tasmania and New South Wales. And what we found is that essentially it's one stock. So, and that's quite significant in terms of how fisheries are managed, because it might mean that we need to all align and have a similar management approach to ensure the sustainability of the fisheries. Because what would happen in one state might affect the other state.
Interesting. And Western Australia, you found that was a different...
Western Australia is a different type of kingfish over there.
Yeah.
Our fish on the southeastern of Australia, they're actually the same kingfish as what you see in New Zealand, genetically similar. So you're getting this drift of genetic material between between Australia and New Zealand. Yeah.
There you go. All right, lots to talk about on Yellowtail Kingfish, but after the break, product of the week, and then we'll discuss more about the age and the size of kingfish next on Talking Fishing.
Talking Fishing.
Good morning, spotters. Stephanie speaking.
Product of the week, brought to you by Tackle World.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
Okay, I'm going to keep it really quick and launch into product of the week, because we've still got some amazing information to come out of Dr. Corey Green in regard to kingfish. This might actually help a few of the kingfish fishermen out there, because we're going to keep it really basic and get to a product that has been around for a little while but you may not know about. And that is a simple filleting board with one tiny but really nice little contraption, which is that little stainless bit you see on the end. It's actually a clamp. So I think this is one of the most amazing things you'll ever use for a King George whiting, or a dusky flathead, Dave, where you've
They've been
recently
around since before Corey caught that big
They've
fish.
been around for a bit.
Really, it's in a while.
But yeah,
100 years.
Yeah, but still no one knows these exist, Charlie. So we're giving it the time of day. We don't discriminate here.
I think Trevor Maundrell invented them, and he's 92.
Jeez, you're not bad with your ages, eh? Very simple to use. You can pop the tail or the head end, depending on what side of the fish you're filleting, into the clamp there, and it holds it still, because there's nothing worse than, especially that second fillet, where there's not too much to grab anymore and the fish is sliding around all over the place.
That's right.
That just holds everything secure, so you make sure you're not getting any wastage on the fillet, and you're also taking off everything that's there without it cruising around all over the joint. Now, as well as the cutting board, Jarvis Walker also make a very nice but affordable range of filleting knives. So this is part of their Pro series. I've got the 6-inch model in my hand here. They make them up to an 8-inch, so 6, 7 and 8-inch. It covers all the species we'll deal with in Victoria and abroad. Very nice, comfortable and thick handle there. So you're in complete control of filleting whatever species that may be. Beautiful blade that holds an edge consistently, which is also important, and also comes with a sheath that clips in over the handle just to protect the fingers while you're not using it. So again, we're keeping it basic. Filleting board, clamp on the end, just makes life that little bit easier.
So they come in a metre model?
And what's that?
Do they come in a metre model?
No,
this
they
actually got, this actually got
it's
a
got a measuring
38 centimetre measuring board on it, just
Not big
into the
enough for
plastic. So
fish.
I could have done with
too
those.
big for what I catch, mate.
Well, I was going to say Charlie wouldn't need one any longer. I could have done with this at Lake Ties because we were trying to fillet flathead on the corrugated sink. So if anyone stays in cabin 22 and it smells a bit, someone's left their phone on in the studio.
That's mine.
Is that you, Corey?
That's a fine.
Yeah. That'll be your girlfriend.
Maybe I'll switch that off now.
But
I'm going to keep going.
cabin 22. If it smells a bit,
22.
It was tough.
That's filleting on the sink. But again,
anyway,
a product that is definitely not new by any stretch of the imagination, but very relevant and very handy. There you go. Product of the week, we're back.
Longest ringtone ever, aren't they?
Yeah,
turn it off.
No, leave it go, mate.
It'll come on again.
That's all good. It's all good.
Jeez,
Let's get into the kingfish, Corey. Quickly, a couple of people on Facebook are asking some questions. Sean Tracy wants to know if his credit card's working, yes. And Taylor Hum wants to know what they call you at work. Is it fillets? Because you only get to work on the best eating fish. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. They call me fillets.
And Steve Vidler wants to know, another viewer wants to know who won the Aqua Cup. Well, he did, but we're not going to tell him. Got a big head already.
Yeah, and the Guinness World Records just messaged in saying that's officially the longest ringtone ever.
Yeah.
What's it called, that ringtone?
It's an alarm, actually. I don't know what it is.
That's going to keep going then.
Corey,
Call of the
Grab
I
it.
thought we call the kingfish.
go and grab your phone.
It's time to get up, mate.
Call of the kingfish.
Probably say go to the pub or something like that. But anyway, he's going to turn it off. That is gold, I'll tell you. And Corey, don't take all night to do it. He'll come back in a sec.
I'm back now.
There you
Sorry
go.
about that.
All class this show. Wouldn't have it on the front bar.
I'll put it on silent, but there.
Let's talk about kingfish and the length and the age and some of the differences you saw between the whole of the state of Victoria, because there's quite some differences, isn't there?
Yeah. So, with the sampling we did from Western through Central and Eastern Victoria, we measured...
What do you class the Western?
Sort of like... Paul and Port Fairy area mainly.
Oh, yeah.
But all the way to Apollo Bay. So we measured those up and we had a look at the size distribution of them. So just what's the size of the catch in the different areas? And with that we looked at the age. So if we have a look at the plot, might be a bit difficult to see the numbers, but going down the vertical line there, that's the length. So in the Western zone, there are a lot more bigger fish compared to what we saw in the Central, which is in Port Phillip Bay and Eastern. Now, this is quite good information for us because we can see that there's a broad range of fish there too. So some fish could be spawning, other new recruits coming into the fishery, and when the old ones go, you've got bigger fish coming through year after year after year. So, and the same with the age, they're quite fast growing too. You see the structure of the age, most of them are like 2 to 3 years old, so very young fish, but they'll continue to get older as the years go on.
Now we've got a minimum size limit of 60 centimetres.
Yep.
So really, what's the age of
60, 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah. So they're young fish.
Really fast growing.
Yeah.
That's why they're good as an agriculture species as well, because they are that fast growing.
Yeah. I'll go to the next one, Shirley, because you're not.
Okay.
You know how we did in rehearsal? How you were going to throw the next one?
Yeah. The correlation.
Didn't get the memo.
The maturity characteristics, Charlie.
That's what I say, the correlation.
Reproduction. Obviously, a fish needs to get to maturity. How do you know if a fish gets to maturity?
Well, you have a different stage scale that we can see in their gonads, so their ovaries and their testes, to see what sort of how mature they are. If they're very large and you can see lots of eggs, they're probably ready to spawn. So we looked at that, and we got our maturity stage. We wanted to find out what size they were when they were first mature. So these little charts here just show a little bit about that, and essentially what it says is that the females are mature around 95 centimetres in total.
Pretty big fish.
So it's a big fish, but the males are a fair bit smaller, being 78 centimetres.
Yeah. So when is the spawning season, Corey? Because I know we like to look as fishermen, we like to I guess understand when spawning seasons are, because it gives you an opportunity to target potentially bigger fish.
Yeah.
When is the spawning season, and do we actually get one in Victoria?
I haven't really seen a fish that spawns in Victoria. Yeah, if we have a look at the next chart about spawning season, we'll see that they're ready to go. This is sort of an index of how ready they are to go to spawn and what time of year they are. So they're ready to spawn at sort of that November, December period when the water temperature is nice and warm, and they're aggregating as well. But they're not at that maturity size or age that we're actually getting spawning fish. I've got no evidence to suggest that there's spawning fish in Victoria. Just didn't see it in the ovaries. Didn't see it in the ovaries at all.
Wow. And growth rates, Corey, obviously you have that way, I guess, with all types of fish with the otolith.
Yep. So we took the ear bones out, the otoliths out, cut them up, count the increments on the otolith to work out the age. And then we fit our growth models to them. That's just a bit of a chart to say, if you caught a fish that was a metre long or something, you can sort of work out how old it is. Now, there's other growth charts on there as well from different states too, and they're actually very similar.
Yeah.
So this also points to the genetic side of things, where it's a single stock. They're doing similar things. They're maturing at a similar stage and at a particular time, and they're growing at the same speed. So. Yeah, it's all
with the ear bones, like in snapper, you can actually look at the chemical analysis and determine where potentially fish are born as well.
Yeah.
Did you try looking at that with the kingfish?
Yeah, we did. We got that up in future slides later on. I can
talk
about that.
No, don't talk about it yet.
No, I won't talk about it now.
You didn't read the memo either.
Jumping ahead of myself. There you go. All right, we'll stop there. Coming up next, Kramer's mailbag. There's only a few of them. And then we're going to have a look at how far a kingfish swims when it's tracked via satellite. It'll blow you away what's coming up next on Talking Fishing.
Talking fishing.
We know what you'd rather be doing.
We know what you really got in mind.
We know you'd rather be out fishing. And today's the day you're gonna wet a line. 'Cause every day's a good day.
Stop wishing.
Every day's a chance to drift away. Drift away.
Every day's a good day for fishing. See it down at Tackle World today.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing. We're talking fishing.
Welcome back to Talking Fishing. We are joined in the studio tonight by Dr. Corey Green. He's the expert on calamari, yellowtail kingfish, and tomorrow night you'll be at Frankston RSL talking about King George whiting, Corey.
That's it. I'll try to get around all different species.
You're around, I tell you. In a minute, we're going to show you how far a fish swam with a satellite tag on, a kingfish. It'll blow you away, and a whole lot of other tagging results. But before that, mailbag. This is from Kelvin. Can you have a look at Frankston's Cannanook Creek boat ramp? Tried getting back in near low tide. No boat could get through. Lots lined up waiting for more water. Jet skis couldn't get in there. I'm in a 3.7 metre tinny. A couple of blokes helped me pull my boat over the sandbar there, as I had two little kids, 3 and 4, in the boat with me, and it was starting to get a bit rough. Really not good enough. Needs a breakwater to stop the sand building up, or they will be forever dredging it. Thanks to the blokes that helped me out from Kelvin. When are they going to get this? And I put this fairly and squarely in Better Boating Victoria's ball court, a dredging program for all these little rivers and creeks that run into Port Phillip Bay.
I think there's probably a bigger issue there. What's the deal with rock walls and why do we hate them as Victorians? Because would that legitimately solve the issue? As in, would you not have to dredge if rock walls were built?
No, because you wouldn't get the sand movement going.
So why are we against it?
I don't know. Well, all we can hope is that the boat registration and the boat licence money gets put into a fund to make boating better.
I'm sure there's got to be a reason we don't get these
on the headlines.
Good point.
But I'd love to know what it is.
You do see them in a lot of places, don't you?
The commitment from the state government was to make boating easier, better and cheaper. And I keep seeing people from the government throwing up the word safer. Now, I'm not against safety, but that wasn't the commitment. We've got to start seeing these boat ramps become better and easier to use.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Anyway, let's get on with it. Hi guys, this is from Rick. I've been fishing the Eildon Pondage for over 40 years now. I've never seen what I saw the other day, hundreds of large carp everywhere. The water is one of Victoria's premier trout fisheries. Can you please ask the Minister if she is aware of this, and can we get this virus put into the pondage, Charlie?
Well,
we haven't got the Minister here, so you're it.
Yeah, all right. I'll. Who do you want me to speak on behalf of? Barnaby or
Barnaby Joyce?
Barnaby Joyce. Well, I'll tell you what. It's a growing problem that we have to address, really, and.
He was in charge of introducing the virus.
Yeah, I'm not too sure it is. I think it got to a certain stage where I don't think anyone was really sort of game enough to push the button.
Yeah,
because
Barnaby would have been.
Because of fallout. Because I don't know whether the science has actually settled on what
Corey,
it can do
you
and
allowed to
can't
comment?
do. So,
People away from that.
yeah, so.
All right, move on. Yeah. We'll find out the answer to that. We'll ring Barnaby. G'day, Kramer. It's a joke what is going on at Tutkaruk Boat Ramp. Oh, here we go again. Apparently, DELP has funded the removal of 9 groins along the beach because they were decaying and they have not replaced them. They could only afford the removal. The contractor has left bits of timber everywhere, and what's worse, without the groin next to the boat ramp, the sand is already starting to build up, and at low tide, it's ankle deep. They are a joke.
What's a groin?
Why were they removed?
Just like the little timber thing. Because they were decaying.
But weren't they still doing a job? Even though they were decaying, were they still holding the sand out?
According to Tom who wrote this, they were doing the job.
So why would they remove them?
I
understand they're decaying.
A bigger question, why wouldn't they replace them? Why would you only fund the removal? The things are there for a bloody reason. Why would you take them out and not replace them and only fund the removal of them?
Yeah, especially if you're seeing an immediate effect.
It's just typical of the Department of Do Nothing. That's what they're called in real life. DELP, the Department of Do Nothing. I don't know. I'll tell you, it's and
the head scratches this week.
And you know who's going to cop the blame for it? No, I think that's unfair. It's Better Boat in Victoria because they'll need to dredge, not only remove the sand, but they'll need to dredge
and put the groins back in.
And put the groins back in. Anyway, that's it. If you'd like to write into Kramer's mailbag, this is what you do.
Send your mail to Kramer's Mailbag, PO Box 734, Patterson Lakes, Victoria 3197, or email kramer@ifish.com.au.
Alrighty, Corey, this will blow people away.
Hope so.
You, part of your study, you satellite tagged 3 yellowtail kingfish.
Yep.
Where were they from?
A couple of Port Phillip heads and one from Julie Percy Island down in the west.
Let's start with the Port Phillip Bay heads ones. How did those tags go?
Not so well, those ones. No, they might have been predated on seals. We lost those tags. We actually got the tags back. They washed up on shore, but we learned a lot from that as well. Yeah. But the ones
what to cull the seals
like kingfish.
Used them for toothpicks.
But you did put. Oh, actually, you've got
a tag.
Yeah. Show people. So this is that's a satellite.
So that's a satellite tag.
Yeah. How on earth do you attach that?
Yeah, so we do.
And does it need to be 10 kilos just to hold it?
You told us in the break.
Well, that's how odd.
So
how does that actually work?
Yeah, well, the fish we got was only about 70 centimetres long, 65 full length. and there's just a cable that goes out, and we tether it through the fish, just using a needle and stuff. It was all above board with ethics and everything like that. And then quick release, and away it goes.
Except
and
those two dead ones.
I'm going to get eaten by seals anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, so you put the satellite tag on. You let it go at Julia Percy Island on the 5th of April, 2017.
Yep.
This fish, the tag got released 69 days later. Is that right?
That's right. Yep. So it records temperature and depth.
Yep.
And it uses models to work out where the fish has been over time.
How does it know when to come off?
It's programmed.
That's it?
Yeah, so we program it to release at a certain time. So there's little corrosive things in there that will release and let the tag float to the top. It then talks to the satellites and downloads the data via satellite.
Let's have a look. Now we can talk over this. Let's have a look at where the fish went. So down near Port Fairy, Portland Way.
That's right.
Here it goes. Swam, it's along the continental shelf for a bit.
Went down to about 70 metres along there.
Yeah, okay. Over to King Island. Picked up some camembert cheese.
And while it was in Bass Strait, it sort of only went down to about 12 metres. So it kept quite shallow while it was through there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it went through those series of islands off Wilson's Prom.
Yeah.
And then ended up at Flinders Island.
That's right.
Wow. What's the stats on what it did? Tell us about what it did in those 69 days.
So it did about 1,000 Ks in that time, which is about 14 kilometres a day.
14 kilometres a day.
Yeah. Wow. So they're moving along. And it experienced temperatures around up around 17 degrees, but got down to 14 as well. So, and that'll depend on depth as well. But
let's have a look at a couple of other tagged fish. Now these weren't satellite tagged, but we've got a table here. Have a look at these. One was released in Port Welshpool, ended up at Eastern Bass Strait. That's not too far. The next one, Montague Island, 688 days later was in the Rip.
Yep.
Portland to Portland. Oh, that's nothing. Woodside to the Banks in New South Wales. Look, the next one, Woodside to Maruya after 294 days. How's this one? Green Cape after 293 days ended up at Ricketts Point in the Bay.
Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff.
That's amazing. And Mowarri Point in New South Wales ended up at Barwon Heads after nearly a year.
Yeah. So all this tagging data, we're seeing fish that are going from either Victoria to New South Wales and New South Wales to Victoria. So it's still starting to validate all this information from the genetics and from the satellite tagging data and the growth all being the same to be managed a certain way.
Yeah. Let's go back to the otolith stuff. Temperature. How do you see some of that?
You mentioned before about otolith microchemistry, the chemistry involved. So that's what we did here. We looked at the amount of, it's got an isotope, an oxygen isotope, and the different ratios of certain isotopes. Within the ear bone, we can tell what sort of temperature that fish experienced. So we have a look at that graph there on the screen, and if we flick over to the next chart, we see the smaller fish there. So
the next chart?
Sorry, no, that's right. That's right. So we see the smaller fish, with the length down the bottom there, and the temperature up the top. So that's telling me that smaller fish generally only inhabit warmer waters.
Yep.
So, and the larger fish are tending to be coming from, they're experiencing more cooler waters. So because we don't see any spawned fish here, any of these small fish, we're assuming that because of this chart and the other work that we've done, that they're coming from up New South Wales way, where the temperature's a lot warmer. It could be Lord Howe Island, or we don't really know where they go.
Sounds like you need. How much are these satellite tags?
Oh, they're about $4,000.
Need a few of those, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and keep away from the seals.
Just seal bait.
We're going to go to a break. We've got a little bit more to talk about after the break. We've also got the all-important hotspots next on Talking Fishing.
Talking Fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing.
And now the segment you've all been waiting for, Fishing Hotspots. Get on 'em, it's where the fish are.
Welcome back to Talking Fishing. Dr. Corey Green in the house tonight from the Victorian Fisheries Authority, talking Yellowtail Kingfish. But before that, let's talk about the hotspots for this weekend. Pretty good weather coming out Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
Number one, the Rip, southern bluefin tuna. There are tuna everywhere.
Yeah,
Charlie, you're going out there tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning, or are you going straight from the studio to the car park, I reckon? Get down there in the morning.
At Queenscliff.
Yeah, Queen. Well, take me a while. But yes, I am going out in the morning, so
Sure.
we'll see how we go next
And you're
week.
out trying to chase the tuna.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah,
awesome.
Great fun.
Hope to get some good photos of that. Number two, Werribee, King George whiting, some lovely King George whiting coming from the weed beds off Werribee. Let's keep running through this over in Western Port. Reports of big garfish off the middle spit, top
Nice.
end.
That's the first report for this season of
Probably,
garfish.
Gars,
yeah.
That's
Some
right.
good guys. Don't see many. In fact, you talk about it in your report. The not as many garfish as we used to see quite some
What
time
one
ago.
of the fishers told us. That's
Yeah. Oh,
Which
I
is
mean, we used to get
interesting.
them off Blair
Yeah.
Gowrie, or just go straight out the wheat beds, get as many garfish. They're just not there. Like they used to be. So there you go. Next one, Tankerton, King George whiting. Plenty of King George whiting down south of French Island there. Let's head to the east of the state for the next one, and Lake Tyers. Of course, dusky flathead.
Yeah, still chewing hard.
Craig Ingram got that 92 down there last weekend. He's caught an 84 centimetre today. He's just texted that in. Unbelievable. And the other place is lots of boats heading down there. Malakuta. There's a good run of kingfish off there at the moment, the reefs offshore from Malakuta. So there you go.
nice.
That's the hotspots. Trelly, if you were lucky enough,
Yes.
you're going to be in the prime grounds of Yellowtail Kingfish tomorrow as well. Be mad not to have a go at that. But it'd be interesting to hear from the charter boat operator. Like, has he seen any
Are they
kingfish?
getting him as bycatch?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll ask a few
Because
questions.
you're out with one of the reputable guys from down there, so...
Yeah, Chris on Gone Fishing Charters. So,
Yeah.
it will be interesting tomorrow because I just don't get out and fish that way. So, so I actually am really looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
you're using bib lures, are you?
All those
mate,
lures.
old
Big
mates.
stump, old mates or stump jumpers
big,
there.
yeah, small, big, bibbed, unbibbed. Yeah.
Hey, caster.
Corey, summarising all the kingfish stuff,
Yeah.
what do you reckon?
Yeah, so as we know, there was that big decline in 1992, likely to be the New South Wales trap fishery likely to,
Yep, so
to doing
overfish
that.
commercially,
Yeah,
probably.
but there's the other factors as well, environmental factors as
Yep,
well.
yep.
They weren't quiet, increase in catches from 2010 in Victoria. All our genetic sampling says it's sort of one stock.
Yep.
Similar growth and reproductive statistics as
Yep.
well. And we didn't have any evidence of spawning, right? So they're spawning somewhere else. Where are they spawning? We'll use the microchemistry sort of work to think, well, they're probably coming up
We've got a slide of all this
northern-
summary too, by the way. We can
northern
probably put up.
waters. And another interesting research paper that's come out by the Institute of Marine Antarctic Studies is that like a climate change is and the warmer waters over time in decades
Pushing
to come,
further south, aren't they?
all these kingfish are moving south as well.
Yeah.
So it's likely to be getting better and better over the years with proper management.
Yeah. You got a workshop in March.
Yeah, so the states are now coming together and we're going to meet up in Sydney, in New South Wales Fisheries in Sydney, to talk all things kingfish. So it'll be just nothing but kingfish for two solid days.
Yeah, wow.
And talk about where we go and what we do, because the New South Wales fishery is looking completely different to Victorian fishery as well as Tasmanian fishery as well.
Yeah, okay. So do you obviously need to do more work if you
Yeah,
want to
like
know
to.
more about kingfish.
Yeah. Like to know where they spawn.
Do you do any work on the side? Like,
On the
I've found a few samples in my son's room.
Right.
Of what?
Of what?
Of what?
Well, I want to know what.
These things?
Yeah, I was wondering if you could do some work on it for me. So you're into, all the
I
they have
don't think I'll do that.
DNA and the.
No, I won't do that.
Do they have whatever you're finding? Do they have otoliths?
I could.
Hey, Corey, I don't know how much time we've got left, so
Neither do I.
okay, in a couple of minutes, out of all the work that you've done and everything we've just seen in the past of the show, what are the burning questions that you want to know? Like, where are you? You obviously right at the forefront of this. You're getting amongst it. What are the things that are just ticking away at your brain that you would really love to find out about these things before it's all done and dusted?
Two things, and one was trying to achieve it with the satellite tag, was where do they go in winter? Yeah, one of the big questions for me. And we almost got that. It went till June and was down off Tasmania in June, but I'd like to get a bit more information to see where they go further. And the other thing is where they spawn. Yeah, we got to find out where they spawn, and does that area need some sort of management to keep the fishery going? At the moment, there's an assessment called the Australian Status of Fish for all of Australia, of course, and it's classified as undefined at the moment. So there's still more questions. So we just don't, even though they're highly valued species, recreational, there's still, and there's been a lot of science on them, there's still a lot that we just don't know.
I'm no expert in catching them, but they are my favourite fish to catch.
Oh, beautiful
fish. They're fun, they're hard.
They go hard.
They go hard. They are the most stunning to eat. You know, so they're the best sashimi, and then cook them in panko breadcrumbs, and they're juicy and they're just beautiful.
They
to
go
eat.
all right, don't they?
Mate, we're going to wind it up. Thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure.
Always appreciate your time.
It's good to get the science out there.
And you're telling us this is about your third or fourth show. We just can't remember. It's been 5 years, a lot of shows. So, but you're always good when you come in. You're always good. Talk night tomorrow night at Frank's RSL, which is fantastic.
Get down to that.
So,
check it out.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in. Really good. That's it for Talking Fishing. Hope you enjoyed the show. A good forecast, like I said earlier on, for this Friday and Saturday, particularly the Rip, Barwon Heads, that sort of places, if you want to look for tuna. Trelly, we might even put your report up on our social media tomorrow, Trelly, when you catch some tuna.
I'll send them through.
Of where to go, but it's looking like a good Friday and Saturday at least. And there's just so much to offer this time of year. Until we see you again next Tuesday on Talking Fishing, please stay safe on the water and enjoy your fishing.
Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. We got all you need, just take a look. Watch those fish jump on your hook. So just relax and take your time. Enjoy the show, then drop us a line. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. Talking fishing, nothing but fishing, we're talking fishing. Talking fishing.
Have a good weekend, Mr. Walker.
You too, son.